What is going on, Giants fans? Welcome to our Week 10 episode of Big Blue Avenue. I cannot believe it is already Week 10, folks. We got a lot to dive into tonight, but first and foremost, if you are new to the show, make sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms. We really do appreciate it. So the way this show will work tonight, we'll go over some Week 9 takeaways. We'll talk about our Giants Player of the Week for Week 9. Go over some Week 10 transactions. We'll talk about, Graham Gano, another injury hopping up for him, not good. And then we will preview Week 10, where the Giants travel to Soldier Field to take on their longtime out-of-division rival in the Chicago Bears. Definitely excited to chop that up with our special guest of the evening, Andy Hopper, host of the Tailgate Committee and the Brew Party. Definitely looking forward to that. But first and foremost, let's get into our Week 9 takeaways. And if you're watching tonight, feel free to drop a comment. Make sure to like this show. Also share with your friends. It definitely helps with our algorithm, so we really do appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, bad week for the Giants again, but there is another bright spot, and it is none other than Jackson Dart. He became the only rookie in NFL history with the passing and rushing touchdown in 4 straight games. No rookie quarterback has ever done that in 4 consecutive games. Dart also has the highest big-time throw percentage under pressure with 11.3%. That is matched with the 7th lowest turnover-worthy throw at 3.4%. That is for the NFL. So the highest big-time throw percentage since taking over as the Giants starter. That's the best in the NFL for a rookie. That is insane. He was playing like a 5-year vet already. We know how we feel about Jackson Dart. The Giants have clearly found their franchise quarterback. There's no doubt about it. At this point, he is just developing and growing week by week. Overall, I thought he looked good again in this game, and it's going to be tough, right? The fact that he looks good without Malik Neighbors and Cam Scadaboo is definitely a good sign going forward. If he is still playing well with limited weapons and limited elements on offense, well, when those weapons are there and available for him, you're going to see a real force to be reckoned with when it comes to Jackson Dart in the NFL. NFC East should be scared. NFC as a whole should be scared. And the NFL should be a little bit on eggshells after watching what we've seen over this last month plus. It has been insane. Offensive line, much improved unit this year, even with the injury to Jermaine Illuminor this week, where 5th-round rookie Marcus Bowe got another start at right tackle. Andrew Thomas, John Runyon, John Michael Schmitz, and Greg Van Roten all allowed no sacks and no QB hits. Bowe allowed 1 sack and 2 QB hits. And Austin Schlottman, who came into relief for John Michael Schmitz, gave up no sacks and no QB hits. JMS left with a shin injury. Not good. JMS just coming back from a concussion that he suffered in the Week 8 game. Definitely rough to see. Also, it's clear as day, based off of what we saw last week, the Giants must draft Darius Slayton's replacement. It is time to move on. He's the 2nd longest tenured Giant after Dexter Lawrence, and Dart put one right on in between the numbers. Couldn't hold on to the football, and he got hurt on the play too, to add insult to injury there. So not ideal at all for Slay. 7-year vet in the NFL. He's been a disappointment over the past few seasons. He played a lot better when Daniel Jones was quarterback, but the Giants sucked then, and they sure aren't much better now. This is even with good quarterback play, by the way, I want to say. And it's not just a drop problem. He's had fumbling issues, durability stuff. He's always getting hurt. I'm out on Darius Slayton. I don't know why the Giants brought him back on the deal that they did at the time. It sort of made sense, but it's because a lot of the free agents don't want to come and play for the Giants. Now, when you change the culture with guys like Dart, Scadaboo, and Neighbors, yeah, sure, players might want to play for you. But before, we saw the emergence of Dart and Scat, Malik Neighbors was very frustrated. He wasn't getting the ball enough. A lot of the throws in his direction were off target last season, regardless of who the quarterback was. And now you're finally starting to see, you were at least starting to see Neighbors get in sync with Dart in the preseason and in that half a game that they played together, and then Scattaboo as well. So the fact that Slayton has been unable to get better as a receiver with those upgrades on offense is alarming. And the fact that Gunnar Olszewski scored a touchdown in this game. Olszewski's got better hands than Slayton right now. He made his first catch of the season, second career touchdown. Shout out to Gunnar, who has been really good returning kicks and punts this year for the Giants. I want to give him credit where it's due. And defensively, I mean, this is the big boom for me here, or the big bust, I should say. It's Shane Bowen and that defense, man. You know, back in the day, I was talking to our guest, George, last week. I was so excited to watch the Giants defense go out there and play. And you would think with these pass rushers that we have, the four that we have, you would think that you'd be excited, but it's further from the truth. We know even if the Giants get pressure, their secondary is one of the worst in the NFL. Their linebackers are really bad. Shane Bowen's defense has allowed 875 yards in the last 6 quarters of play, including 85 points, and they forced just 1 punt. And that is with Brian Burns playing like the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Let that simmer for a minute. I'll let it, because it's not good. I'm surprised Shane Bowen still has a job. I think the Giants are thinking, well, if we fire him now, nothing's going to get better because we're mid-season, sure. But you also don't want to lose the locker room, and it could cost other people their jobs, like Brian Dable and Joe Shane, and defensive assistants might want to leave. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't love that they're keeping him on board because, and again, our guest George said it best last week, the Giants defense is lame, right? It's a bit robotic. It's just rush the passer. Brian Burns is good power and finesse. They're very lucky he's as good and strong of a player as he is because the scheme isn't there. They're not disguising blitzes. They're not utilizing their pass rushers the way that they should. So it definitely is alarming that this is where we're at as a defense when we have these big name edge rushers that we're investing a lot of money and draft capital in. And that's a big part of the reason why the Giants are 2-7. And it's also part of the reason why the Giants made no moves at the trade deadline. The only guys they were really trying to shop were Evan Neal, Jalen Hyatt, and Deonte Banks. Nobody would take the bait, obviously, on Hyatt and Neal. Banks, I could have seen moving. I think he deserves to be on an NFL roster somewhere. I just don't know if it's as a starter or not. Maybe if the scheme is right, it would make sense. But all in all, right now, it does not. So we will definitely see what happens moving forward. There's a chance Evan Neal could get cut before the end of the season if they have to make more roster moves. He would have gotten cut if Art Green wasn't eligible for injured reserve. So the fact that he's still here, he's just on borrowed time at this point. He's not coming back next year. You already know that he will probably not be playing in the NFL next year unless it's as a practice squad guy. And that's where we're at, right? And what makes it worse is the Giants even traded up to get a guy like a Jalen Hyatt, who is not as bad as Evan Neal has been, but you could say he's underutilized or he's just not getting it. You know, he just doesn't get it. And I'm not surprised. No move for me. Giants on a 3-game losing streak. Why would you? Why would you want to trade with this team right now? It's not like they're going anywhere. And you could, oh, well, you know, the Raiders made a trade. Yeah, because Jacoby Myers is a great player on a bad team. Tell me what great player the Giants are going to trade right now. I'll wait. The only person that I could have seen them dealing, realistically speaking, was Kayvon Thibodeau, and the Giants were unwilling to do that, which does make sense because they exercised his 5th-year option in the offseason. So can't say I am too shocked there when it comes to that. Folks, let's get into our New York Giants player of the week. Again, in a down season, 3rd year in a row, the Giants have not been great. There's been a lot of downs, but one of the ups has been Jackson Dart. He is once again our New York Giants player of the week. In week 9, he was 24 of 33 for a $191 passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he also had a rushing score on 8 rushes for 56 yards. We mentioned he's the only rookie in NFL history with a passing and rushing touchdown in 4 straight games. He also, we mentioned before, highest big-time throw percentage under pressure and the 7th lowest turnover-worthy throw in the league. To only have 3 picks through this many starts as a rookie is impressive, and you pair that with the amount of touchdowns he has, is very impressive. I definitely love what I've seen from Jackson Dart this season. I think he will be a potential top 10 guy to look out for next year. I think he's already towards the top half of the league when it comes to NFL starters, just as a rookie, because, again, not many weapons to work with. The offensive line is average. So you're not going to turn around and say, oh, wow, Jackson Dart, front runner for offensive rookie of the year, if he's not that good with what's surrounded by him. And he is that good. And that's why I think at this juncture of the season, things could turn next week. They could change 2 weeks from now. We don't know. Jackson Dart should win NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. The only other two, I should say, should be in consideration are Emeka Egbuka, who has been hurt a little bit and his numbers have slowed down, and then Tyler Warren for the Colts, who, in my opinion, is an outstanding talent, but he is not the first fiddle on that offense. Dart is doing it all by himself right now. You know, Tyler Warren's got Jonathan Taylor. He's got Daniel Jones, awesome offensive line, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs. What does Jackson Dart have? Wandale, who gets 9 catches for 50 yards. Theo Johnson, athletic tight end who scores touchdowns but has a massive drop problem. Same thing with Darius Slayton, veteran player who's overpaid because he's competent. He's not even that good. He's a competent receiver that we're paying $12 million a year to. You tell me, who do you think deserves Offensive Rookie of the Year? Would love to hear from the folks in the comments section below on that. And then moving on here to some Week 10 transactions. Art Green has been placed on injured reserve. He will miss at least the next 4 weeks. And then the big one here, kicker Graham Gano has a neck injury. So, unfortunately, Graham Gano has a herniated disc in his spine that is starting to creep upwards in his body. Now, he's been in the NFL for a very long time, since 08-09. He's 38. He missed that kick last week. Unfortunately, he did receive some ill-advised threats on social media that were way too out of line and unnecessary. I will never stand for that. It is flat out wrong. He's a human being. He's a football player. Guys, we may critique this team as much as we want. It's just the game at the end of the day. A shout out George Bristol here. Appreciate the comment. Our guest from last week, George, you were right about a lot of things last week. McCaffrey blew up. The defensive scheme is whack. We're lucky Burns is as good as he is. And yeah, Graham Gano is a massive problem. It's unfortunate. He's a good kicker, but the injuries have caught up to him. And Dan Duggan reported earlier this week that Gano said the neck pain was more intense after lifting. So there's a good chance you could see Younghoe Koo this weekend for the Giants. It's a real strong possibility at this time. I don't think they'll bring Mika Tomney back. At this juncture, I don't think Gano's playing Sunday. I don't. And it's a shame because he's good. He's accurate. But he's old. He has to retire after this season. You look at Gano's contract. So he signed through 2026. So back in 2023, he signed a 3-year extension. There was an opt-out after the 2024 season. He did not opt out. He opted in this past offseason with 2 years left on his deal. If you cut him now, you would save a little less than $3 million. If you wait till the offseason, though, you save $4.5 million by releasing Graham Gano. That's a lot of money to save by cutting a kicker. Ultimately, I think Gano would like to ride out his contract for the rest of his NFL career, but I think the Giants have seen enough. This is a continuous problem. It's a headache. You would think if Joe Shane and Brian Dable are competent people, they would cut Graham Gano at the end of the season. But it's just ridiculous, guys, how in year four, we still don't have an answer to our kicker problem. And it's not that Gano is bad. He can never get you through a 17-game season, guys. It hasn't happened each of the last 3 years, and you would think somebody would wake up and smell the coffee after a while and sign or draft somebody. Instead, we got this Irish-born kicker part of the Pathway program, which is great and all, but he stinks. It's very tough to teach accuracy to a kicker who got benched at Rutgers. He got benched at Rutgers for the exact same reason, and it is translated to the NFL. There is no good answer for special teams. It is such an undervalued facet of the game, and it is catching up to the Giants yet again. And George, yes, you should have bet your predictions on the show. They were definitely awesome ones for sure. All right, folks. So next segment here, we'll start our Week 10. This is our Week 10 preview of the Giants at the Bears. Giants are 2-7. Bears are 5-3. We'll be talking with Anthony Hopper in just a few minutes to preview that game. But there's a couple of things to talk about here. Bears favored by 4.5. The line gets a little bit longer for the Giants. I really hope that it goes down because I do think this has a really good potential to go the Giants' way if they do check off some boxes, although I do think Chicago should be favored by at least 2 or 3 points. I think 4.5 is a bit much, looking at the way Chicago's defense played last week. Bears lead the all-time series 36-25-2. This is an old-school rivalry, 2 smash-mouth football teams. The Giants won the last meeting back in 2022. That was a game that I attended at MetLife Stadium. They won that game 20-12. But the Bears won the previous 3 meetings, and the Giants have not won in Chicago since December 2nd, 2007. It's been a very, very long time since they've won at Soldier Field. It is a tough place to play, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get it twisted. The Giants are going to have to ball out for 4 quarters if they're going to win this football game. I am definitely concerned. I hope for the life of me that the Giants do win this week and get another win, because we see these losses, they take a toll on Jackson Dart. And you're starting to see that it's affecting him mentally. It has not affected his play yet. But when you don't have weapons and you're going out there every week and you're giving it your all and your defense just can't get off the field, your receivers can't hold on to the football, when does that start affecting your results? And you look at a team in Chicago, they have the 6th-ranked offense in the NFL. They average nearly 27 points per game, but their opponents score 28 points per game. They are a hot and cold team. They are very, very streaky. So this is a game that the Giants could really be in here. The one area of concern, which has not been a problem for Dart since the Week 5 game against the New Orleans Saints, is turnovers. The Bears are plus 13 in the turnover ratio. That is why they have won 5 of their last 6 games, and it's a big reason why they were able to come back and win against the Cincinnati Bengals last week. 47-42, which was wild. I thought Caleb Williams was awesome. The Bears had 576 total yards of offense. That's a huge asset of Ben Johnson and the flavor that he brings to this football team. He brings the ingredients of a winning program from Detroit, and now he's bringing it here to Chicago in what is an extremely tough division in the NFC North. To be 5-3 at this point of the season for the Bears is a huge win. It really is. They outrushed the Bengals 283-46. I think, Kyle Monangai had a career game, rookie out of Rutgers. He's a good complementary back. DeAndre Swift, local kid Monangai is. And here's the thing with the Bears. They committed no turnovers last week. The Bengals committed 3. That's a big reason why they won this football game, in addition to outrushing them by a wide margin. They pretty much tripled them or quadrupled them in rushing yards. It is absolutely insane. But yeah, Chicago's won 5 out of their last 6. It is going to be very, very difficult. All right. I've got a friend backstage. He's good to go. Host of the Tailgate Committee and the Brew Party podcast, Andy Hopper from Champaign, Illinois. Mr. Hopper, good evening. It's like we've never left.
Tom, I'm getting a double dose of Tommy Scavetta this week, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I totally forgot until you texted me that the Bears had the Giants this weekend in Chicago, but looking forward to it. It's a big game, I think, for both teams to really, feel good about themselves. But I'm happy to be here. Check out our brand new episode of the Tailgate Committee that just dropped today on our YouTube at the Tailgate Committee. Throw us a like and a subscribe there. Some awesome college football content with myself, Tom Scavetta, and our good boy, our good buddy, the old boy, Noah Dibler. So yeah, definitely check that out. A new show we've got in the works this season that we're all really, really excited about and been really fun. But I'm excited to be here and talking Bears because I haven't been able to do that into a microphone much this year. So yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's get into it. And folks, we'll leave the link in the description for the Tailgate Committee and the Brew Party. Andy also does a pick'em thing with his dog Brew. He's been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah.
Brew's getting closer to 500, right? He's getting closer.
Oh, God,
who does he got tonight?
Sucks this year. He's 11-17 this year.
Oh, he's falling off.
The old age is really getting to him. And he has the Raiders +9 tonight. So hold your nose and take that one. I don't know what to expect from this game, but yeah, actually it's funny. I was going through, I was on Snapchat this week and I was looking at my Snap memories and there were pics, videos from 5 years ago popping up on there of him making picks when I originated that. So it's been a while. That's been really fun. He had 1 year where he was like 63% or something and just couldn't lose. So we're trying to get back to that, but this year, not so much.
Absolutely. Shout out to Brew as always. So Andy, Bears are a winning football team right now. I can't say I'm shocked because of who your head coach is. He comes from a winning culture, a winning organization. Talk to me a little bit about this Ben Johnson guy, for those who don't know, and the job he's done so far. Obviously, the Bears have won 5 out of their last 6 games. Caleb Williams said in a statement recently that there's a different vibe in Chicago now. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, our head coach is actually a psychopath that is obsessed with winning. I think the last guy was just a bumbling idiot. So it wasn't very hard to top. But no, you said it. Ben Johnson's coming from a winning culture. I mean, he, obviously was on staff in Detroit and won a lot of games under Dan Campbell. And, they were there from a complete and total rebuild. So, I mean, he worked with one of the better quarterbacks in the league now for a long time in Jared Goff. So he knows what it's like to watch or coach a quarterback to play at a high level. And I think the difference is it's really just competency, to be honest with you. And it's what stood out to me the most. That's a good question. I think his energy and his passion that you can see on the sideline, you can see pregame, you can see postgame with the good, better, best chant. And just like you said, it's a lot better vibe around the team where, we've gotten in a couple tough situations here throughout the start of the season and, late games last week, for example. As far as, we were up. I mean, we had that pick 6 that got called back that would have put the Bears up by 3 scores, gets called back. Cincinnati scores, they get the onside kick, they score again. Like in previous years, the Bears would have absolutely just quit and given up. And now we've seen multiple situations in late game, and we've been on the winning side of that. And I feel like Ben Johnson is absolutely attributed to that, just smart coaching, and it's been really, really fun to watch so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good head on his shoulders, I think. Possibly, if he continues to win and surprise people, he could be in the running for Coach of the Year. I feel like this year there's so many guys, though, that are in the mix. I mean, you've got Liam Cohn from Jacksonville. You have Mike Vrabel from the Patriots. You could even throw Shane Steichen in there for the Colts and what he's been able to do. So there's really a lot of names. Ben Johnson is certainly one of them, and a big reason why I think Johnson is possibly in future consideration for that award, even if it's not this year, is the maturity and improvement of his quarterback in Caleb Williams. He's put last week. I'm not going to lie and say I watched a lot of the game. I mean, I was glued to my TV watching my team lose, but Caleb arguably put together a career best game. He had 280 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, and he was mistake-free. He also had that touchdown reception. What do you think of Caleb in year 2, Andy?
Yeah, he's definitely taken a step forward. I think there's a lot to like, but I still think there's some stuff he can improve on. He can take a long time to make a decision. He holds the ball just about as long as anybody in the league, if not longer. With just over, I think it's like 3.23 seconds. So I'd like to see his decision making improve a little bit, get a little quicker. Sometimes I feel like he feels like he has to make the most spectacular play, the best throw, and instead of just taking a couple easy ones. It's okay to check the ball down and take an easy throw and move on to the next play. But he's just so talented with what he can do on the fly and his, when he's moving out of the pocket and the out of rhythm throws, right? So the talent's there. And I think the biggest thing for him this year is consistency as far as coaching. Think about what happened last year with, everything we heard about Shane Waldron. He gets the offensive coordinator job. He wasn't even watching film with Caleb. It was just a whole mess. Roma Dunze was pretty much invisible in the offense. And now you get Ben Johnson in here, and, after leading Detroit to one of the best offenses in the league consistently for the past 3 years, we're seeing that system put in place here in Chicago. Like you said, we saw Caleb with a touchdown catch. We saw a double pass with Bajent in the game. Caleb had more catches and yards than Roma Dunze on Sunday, folks. That's not always going to be a recipe for success, but Ben Johnson is so creative, and I think he's instilled a lot more confidence in Caleb. And he's also not afraid to get after him. And, with criticism and telling him, this is something you could have done different, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, Caleb's definitely taking a step forward. Obviously, still in year 2, there's always going to be things where you can go back after the fact and be like, well, I wish you would have done this differently. Why'd you make this throw? But, I mean, shit, man, we're 5-2, and we're really at this point in the thick of the NFC North division race. So there should be no complaints right now.
Certainly so. Other fans have some complaints, my dad being one of them, saying don't forget about Aaron Glenn, Lions DC, who, by the way, did get his first win against Cincinnati, same team that the Bears beat last week. So maybe Ben took a phone call from Aaron and was like, hey, how do you beat these guys? And Ben was able to get it done. I don't think that happened at all. I think Aaron Glenn, it's really tough to coach the Jets franchise. We could get into that another day. I'm rooting for Aaron, former Jet player himself, but it's definitely been a rough start. I think that organization starts far above him. Worst organization the last decade plus for sure.
It's just permanent rebuild for them, especially now getting rid of Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner.
Hell yeah. Yep.
They got a bunch of, first round picks back, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. We definitely will see. There's a lot of season left. Hopefully, both New York teams could win some games. But Andy, Chicago, we talked about Caleb Williams, and a big facet to his success, I think, has been the success of the running game. I was very surprised when I read this, and don't take this the wrong way, but the Bears have the second best rushing offense in the NFL as far as yards per game. That is my style. The meat and potatoes offense, as the old boy Noah Dog Dibler likes to say, our good buddy. What are the differences, though, between guys like Swift and Monangai? Obviously, I felt like Kyle had to take on a different role last week with Swift being hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. So Monangai is a rookie out of Rutgers. If you're a college football fan like we are, Tom, you'll remember Kyle Monangai pretty well. He was a mainstay, a staple in the Rutgers backfield for, I think he was there for 5 years, red shirt plus 4 years of playing, and he was one of the better running backs in college football. He's not going to, be the biggest guy on the field. I think he's 5'8", just under 5'9", but he is a brick shithouse on the field. He is he's a power back despite his size, and we saw him run all over Cincinnati. So he's more of that power back complement that can, run in between the tackles, more of a, in between the hashes type of runner. Whereas DeAndre Swift is a guy that is more of a receiving threat out of the backfield. You can put him in the slot. You can move him around, swing passes, wheel routes, stuff like that. And he can also hurt you with his legs and hurt you in the run game, but they're a nice little 1-2 punch of, because, how many different packages, how many different formations, schemes that Ben Johnson has in his playbook. So he will definitely take any type of runner he can get. It's not the same as David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs with the Lions, but it does remind me of that a little bit. Now, they are not to that level as a backfield, but I think what Ben's been able to do with them is impressive. And let's not forget the Bears start the year 0-2. They couldn't run the ball. It was a big issue. So for them to get to this point now that they're up to number 2 in the league in rushing is very impressive. And you have to credit this offensive line. I think it took a couple weeks for them to gel. But Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, they are as advertised. Darnell Wright has been awesome. Theo Benedette has filled in there as well. So yeah, keep it up. It's a meat and potatoes type of football. That's why I wore my William the Fridge Perry jersey today, Tom. I've got an O lineman.
I love that.
Got to get some respect for the O line. And also, like the fridge, I like to eat. So shout out to Big Willie style. But yeah, it's a little bit of everything. And a lot of Bears fans were unhappy with the DeAndre Swift signing after it didn't really work. Didn't really work out for him in Detroit. He got shipped out of Detroit. Went down to Philly and kind of got let go there. And we're like, man, why are we paying this guy all this money? Little underwhelming last year. And it's been great to see them hit the ground running, literally. And, there was talk, do the Bears target a guy like a Breece Hall at the deadline? Do we go after another running back? And now I think Monangai has cemented himself in that role as he's the solid number 2 in that 1-2 punch. And, DeAndre Swift dealing with the groin, so he missed last week. And then Monangai just absolutely went off. And he was a big part of the Bears offense, putting up 47 points. So the Bears are in a good spot in the run game in what feels like the first time in quite a few years.
Seems like a lot of those linemen are eating well in Chicago. They're getting their good dose of Midwest food, huh? Getting some pregame meals in there.
Chicago, one of the best food cities in the world. One of the best. Loading up on deep dish pizza. I'm sure they got some good steakhouses down there. Yeah. Maybe go get a Polish sausage or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like, what is the go-to dish in Chicago? I mean,
Deep dish is more of like a touristy type thing. So
right,
tavern style's really big up there. I mean, a Chicago style hot dog, obviously.
their weenies,
Um, yeah, you got to run it through the garden. There's a lot of good places. Italian beef, like a good Italian beef sandwich with some giardiniera on it, is big. Maxwell Street Polish. Um, there's a lot of really good food. There's a lot of good Mexican food in Chicago as well. Um, but I would say, yeah, everybody's gonna say deep dish pizza, but
yeah,
that's what it is. But a lot of really good steakhouses too. So the Chicago steak seasoning, that kind of stuff. But there's great food all over Chicago.
yeah. Eating well up in Chicago right now.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Um, let's talk about my guy. This is the guy I wanted the Giants to draft last year, and I think you know where I'm going with this, Andy. Roma Dunze, hot start to the season, 5 touchdowns in the first 4 weeks, but none since. Held to no catches last week. Again, I don't watch the games as much as you do, but I don't want to say he's playing bad, but what's happening to him right now? Why is he not scoring in the red zone?
I think it was a little bit of an anomaly that he was seemingly the only one scoring all the touchdowns for the Bears, but he's our number one red zone threats. Caleb's always looking for him. He actually, I think he had a touchdown get called back in the Cincinnati game. Or he dropped one, and then he had a catch get called back. So like he was looking for him, but I just feel like Cincinnati gave all of their energy on not letting him get the ball. And I mean, teams are starting to figure that out. Like that's where the Bears want to go. And I feel like just since he just did a good job of taking him away, and we saw Colson Loveland break out and have the best game of his career, which has been great because at times it's felt like he's been invisible in the offense. And we saw DJ Moore get a lot of touches as well. So, I mean, the Bears have plenty of weapons, but Rome is really taking that step forward. But it's frustrating for him, especially as a receiver one, to not be getting the ball. But I don't put too much stock in it. I think game by game, like you're going to see different schemes and there are different ways to attack. And I believe he was mic'd up for the Cincy game, and he was every video, every clip I saw was him congratulating his teammates, still being active in the huddle and not pouting or talking shit, reading a book on the sideline like we might see certain receiver ones around the league do. So I'm not worried about Rome. I think he'll be just fine. I think he's still on pace to have a big year. But I mean, it's hard to score a touchdown every week in this league. So I don't know. I think I don't want to say it's luck was the reason, but they were targeting him early and often in the red zone, and I think teams have kind of figured that out. So that could be a little bit to do with it. But I expect him to bounce back next week and be back to his Rome Odunze self.
He's too good not to, right? Especially against our secondary, which is missing a lot of pieces right now. Paulson and Debo on track to miss another game this week. And then you look at who you're going up against. You're going up against Cordell Flott, who is a good starting corner in this league. But then you got Drew Phillips, who is the most penalized corner in the NFL. He's like a huge mixed bag. And then Deonte Banks, man, he's a massive problem. And one thing about the Giants is they really struggle against tight ends. And Colson Loveland, Andy, we were talking on draft night. We all thought the Bears, it was Tyler Warren all the way, right? There was no shot they take Loveland. What do? They take Colson Loveland. He had a nice breakout game last week. Finally, he had those 2 touchdown catches, over 100 yards. I know Cole Kmet was out, right? He missed the game. Is Loveland tight end 1 now? Is this a situation where Kmet loses his job because of an injury? Is it Do we see more 2 tight end sets? What do you think happens here?
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see a lot more of Colson Loveland, and I think it's something that I was expecting to see from week 1. Really, is if you're going to take a tight end that high, obviously you think pretty highly of him. And Loveland had a great preseason. I was expecting big things and got off to a slow start. He was injured a little bit, was dealing with some stuff. And as far as Kmet goes, I love Cole Kmet, but I don't know if the Bears do. They really don't use him in general. I mean, you look, he had 1 catch for 10 yards, and I believe he got hurt on Sunday. But the week before that, played the full game, 1 catch for 16 yards against the Commanders, like 1 catch for 0 yards. His best game so far this year was against the Raiders, 3 catches for 46 yards. He does have 1 touchdown. So for the year, 10 receptions, 142 yards and a score. You compare that to Loveland, 17 catches, 234 yards and 2 scores. Obviously, a lot of that's from this last week. That performance was 6 catches and 2 touchdowns. But yeah, I don't think that is up for debate. I think Loveland is our tight end number 1. And I love Cole Kmet too. They use him more in blocking and stuff like that. So I mean, you still have Austin Hooper on this roster as well. I think they carry 4 tight ends. So we're going to see 2 tight end sets. Hell, you might see 3 tight end sets out there. But as far as who's going to be getting the football thrown to, I would expect at this point of the year, you really start to see Loveland get worked into the offense more. 6 receptions last week, 3 catches each the 2 weeks before that. So he's really starting to, find his footing in this offense.
Yeah, well said. I think you'll see a lot of tight end sets this week, especially since the Bears have the 2nd best rushing offense in the NFL. The Giants have the 31st ranked rushing defense in the NFL and have a defensive coordinator who is supposed to be a run stuffing specialist. But for you guys, Andy, defensively last week, I don't want to beat around the bush, but it wasn't great.
No.
Giving up 42 points, I believe, to the Bengals. What went wrong there? Obviously, turnover-wise, you guys are great, plus 13 on the season. That includes both sides of the ball. But how do you make adjustments here rather quickly?
Yeah, I mean, the Bears have been pretty banged up in the secondary as of late. So, you've got a couple guys that aren't used to playing a lot that have been thrown in there. So what could change is getting more healthy for sure. But you got to have a better pass rush. We have to be putting more pressure on the quarterback and making life difficult. But that's not even it's crazy because it still felt like these guys were running wide open in the secondary. So there's a lot of issues. Basically, the Bears' MO, if we don't turn you over, we're not going to win. Like that is the Bears' defense. It's very much a bend, don't break type of defense and force turnovers. I think Dennis Allen has done an all right job in his first year, but Kyler Gordon's missed some time. Jaquan Brisker's missed some time. We really haven't been whole in the defensive backfield. I think Montez Sweat had a sack last week, but he's been off to a slow start. We did just trade for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka from the Browns to shore up that defensive line. So interested to see how he fits. But if you look at our injury report, Kevin Byard who is a big part of the defense. He's had multiple interceptions on the year. Did not practice on Wednesday. He was limited participant on Thursday, not specified for the game. So, you want to get him back. I'm not sure. Kyler Gordon and Brisker not listed on the injury report. So we'd love to get our guys back. Tyreek Stevenson not listed here as well. So you hope they're all available. Josh Blackwell still out with a concussion. He's another big guy for us in the backfield. So defensive backfield. I think it's getting healthy, getting all your guys out there. But even then, we are very feast or famine. It is turn the ball over or we are in trouble.
Yeah, I feel like there's no in between, but the Bears do have their great moments on defense, and now adding C.J. Gardner Johnson and trading for Joe Tryon. I mean, I think that could possibly help. And especially going up against a quarterback who has proven his worth in the NFL in Jackson Dart, who a lot of people are starting to talk about him for possible offensive rookie of the year
Yeah.
recognition. What concerns you the most about Dart? Obviously, you were there with me when the Giants took him on draft night. You were on the stream with me, and we were saying it's Dart, not Sanders, right? And it was Dart. They made the trade up, and boy, has it paid off. This kid is real good, really good. He's already passed the eye test. Daniel Jones never did.
He looks comfortable. I think that's the biggest thing. He looks like he's supposed to be out there, right? He doesn't have the deer in the headlights look like Daniel Jones always seemed to have. What scares me the most about Dart is his ability to hurt you with his legs. Obviously, that 1-2 punch you guys had going with him and Scatabo before that unfortunate injury was really, really fun to watch. The one thing I'll say about Dart is I love how he's not afraid to go run and use his legs, but it also scares the hell out of me that he's going to get hit and get hurt too. So I think there has to be a mix there. But the kid is so talented. His arm talent, his accuracy on deep throws is really impressive to me. So I think keeping your receivers in front of us is going to be a big thing, and keeping a spy on him as well. Or is it keeping a spy on him and dropping back in coverage, or is it sending pressure to kind of, try to get to the rookie early? But, we weren't really sure where he was going to go on draft night, right? And then, we had the trade up. He falls to the end of the first round, and he has been, just about the most impressive rookie in the league this year. So I'm scared. I'm not excited. But I'm curious to see what Dennis Allen does and what that excuse me, what the Bears scheme up. Hopefully Grady Jarrett back for us on the interior of the DL. And Montez Sweat's going to have a big game, but I think the biggest thing is just getting pressure and making Dart make quick decisions, getting rid of the ball, and trying to keep him in the pocket and keep him contained.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this over the past few weeks on the show, folks, but I think for Andy's comfort, what kind of the issue is right now with Dart, it's not even about him. It's the fact that he has nobody around him on offense. The top weapons are Wan'Dale Robinson, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson, and Darius Slayton. Two of those guys have drop problems. One of them lost the starting job to Cam Scatabo. And then, which I can't fault Tracy too much for that. He got hurt. He did rush for 1,000 yards as a rookie last year. So, yeah. But you mentioned the hits with Dart. He has taken 78 hits since becoming the starter in week 4. That is the second most in the league, only behind Justin Herbert. So, Andy, my first key to the game is protecting Jackson Dart, because Montez Sweat, he's a real good football player, has a sack in each of his last 3 games. And those hits do scare me. But if the Giants are able to protect him, I think Andrew Thomas and Jermaine Illuminor are 2 of the better tackles in the league. When they're both playing together, Dart has potential to rip through this defense and the secondary. Seeing what Joe Flacco did last week, an immobile Joe Flacco. Chicago's given up 28 points per game. That's only 29th in the NFL. And Flacco's numbers last week, Andy, 470 passing yards and 4
career
touchdowns.
High. Fucking 40-year-old Joe Flacco,
My
career
God.
high.
Crazy.
So, yeah, that really worries me, because one thing that Dart has shown, he is not afraid. Not afraid to go make a play. So, keys to the game for the Bears, I think, is you're going to have to force a turnover, maybe 2. And you're going to have to keep Dart contained in the pocket. Start fast, Let's not settle for field goals. Let's put the ball in the end zone. Caleb's going to have to take care of the ball. I want to run the ball well. And then you said it. I think Theo Johnson poses a real big threat. Slayton has been playing well. Wandale Robinson's fast and can get behind guys. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing. When a 41 or 40-year-old Joe Flacco is throwing for almost 500 yards on this defense, just imagine what a rookie rookie might be able to do. So,
yes, they put up, what was it, 32 points in Denver against arguably the best defense in the National Football League.
Right.
So for me, though, the biggest key to the game, it's not protecting Dart, actually. That is a major key, but the number one key is somehow trying to contain this running game, because this is the problem. Chicago, second-ranked rush offense in the NFL. The Giants, 31st ranked run defense in the NFL. It is brutal. No Micah McFadden since week 1 against Washington. Bobby Okereke, sure, 82 tackles is great, but only 1 tackle for loss on the season. And their inability to stop the run is the reason why. They're also giving up just under 28 points per game. They have the 31st ranked red zone defense, which is why I worry about guys like a Monangai or a Swift even in the backfield. Now, I know Chicago has similar issues, Andy, but you guys did better last week. The Bengals, they only had 46 rushing yards. They weren't able to establish the run. So, while I think establishing the run for us is important, I think for you guys, if you get it going, it's game over, because you limit the amount of drives Dart has on the field. You keep the offense off. The Giants defense can't get off the field. This scheme with Shane Bowen is atrocious. He should have been fired weeks ago, but the only reason why he hasn't gotten fired is because the worst person to run a bad defense is the person who's running it. And we saw it on the offensive side with Jason Garrett a couple of years ago. They fired Jason Garrett. People were like, oh, yes, this is so great. And then the offense, it got worse. You know what's going to happen if Shane Bowen gets fired? It's his defense. His defense will get worse. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Run the ball, control the time of possession, and just, keep the ball in our hands. Play action. Be curious to see what kind of trickery Ben Johnson has up his sleeve this week. And yeah, it was big. Chase Brown, I know, has had a really rough year for the Bengals. Unfortunately, that's my guy from the former Illini, but I don't think Cincy's offensive line is really doing him any favors there. So, and that's the thing about the Giants is, you can look at the record and say, oh, they're not in the best spot, but you guys have been competing in all of your games. And that's something that I think speaks volumes to what's going on. Is teams with this kind of record, you'll see a lot just kind of roll over and quit. Whereas, the Giants have very much been like, fuck that. Like, check it up. Let's go. Like next play. So that very much worries me in this kind of game. The Bears sitting at 5-2. We've had some very close ones. Obviously, we all saw it last week. I mean, the cardiac Bears. It's like the cardiac Bears and the cardiac Bulls. I don't know what it is about these teams in Chicago, but they're going to send me to an early grave if they keep playing like this. So I don't know. I think the key is run the ball and then take it away from the Giants. See what happens.
Yeah. One last key for me for the Giants, folks, must get pressure on Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a very talented young quarterback who does make awesome throws. He also makes inaccurate throws at times as well. Brian Burns leads the NFL with 11 sacks. So I think if the Giants are able to get a pass rush, they can possibly steal this one. But the problem with that is Williams only sacked twice last week. He has a much better offensive line than he did last year. Wadunze and Loveland are very good at getting separation, both of those guys. You have to talk about DJ Moore as well. I know he's sort of taken a back seat to Odunze this season, but he's still a guy. You drafted Luther Burden. He's not a scrub. So he's a serviceable player. So he's still growing and maturing in this league. So there's a lot of weapons on Chicago that do scare me, and I don't think the Giants have the personnel on defense to win this football game. So all in all, Andy, I think it's yours to take to win game number 6. But I will say, if the Giants are somehow able to get to Caleb, I think that's where things get interesting, right? Because if Caleb's under duress, he's not as, I mean, most quarterbacks aren't, but he's not as good as a quarterback as he is when the pocket is clean. I feel like, without sounding biased, I feel like he can get a little rattled at times, which you want to prevent that. I think he's done much better, though, with Ben Johnson at the helm this season, though. And that left tackle, is he part of the Pathway program, Theo Benedette?
He's Canadian. I believe he played college ball in Canada, and then we picked him up as an undrafted free agent.
So he has got the Brian Burns assignment. That is going to be huge. That's right tough. There. Now I'm starting to think like that could be a mismatch too. But Andy, are there any players on the Bears that kind of like fly under the radar? If you're maybe Giants fans or possibly even Bears fans watching this right now and be like, yeah, you need to look out for these guys on Sunday.
Under the radar. Kyler Gordon is really good, and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves because he's been so banged up. He's a huge part of this defensive backfield. So if he's out there, keep an eye on him because he will be around the ball and he will be making a play. If you don't see him, you're going to see Nick McLeod, who has been filling in. He's been okay, not great. Nashawn Wright's another name to watch. He's been he's a starting corner for us. The teams have been targeting so far this year. You want Tyreek Stevenson back, but I will scream from the rooftops about how good Kyler Gordon is. He definitely has been flying under the radar. If he can get healthy, he is one of the best defensive backs in the NFL.
No, absolutely. I think Chicago's secondary does have a lot of potential back there with Byard, Nashawn Wright, Tyreek Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker, you name it. You might be getting Jarrett back. Irvin Dexter Sr. in the middle of that defensive line is a really smart player. And I like what he's brought to the table. He's good at shedding double teams and shedding combo blocks. For the Giants, though, obviously, I feel like we have to talk about Dart, right? Since taking over as starter, the Giants have the 16th ranked scoring offense in the NFL. That's right at the middle of the pack. Passing-wise, they're 27th in yards. Rushing, they're 9th. And EPA per play, they're 14th. So the one thing for me that really stands out about this is Dart's passer rating, right? A 93.9 passer rating, and he doesn't give a crap. Like, the Giants in the past would shit themselves when they'd play Philly. When Dart and Scotty were healthy, they're like, yeah, we're fully confident. We're going to go in and win this game. And they did. And they did. And they did it against the Chargers, too, in week 4. Nobody expected that to happen. I think that took you out of Survivor, Andy, that week. Brutal.
It did.
Brutal.
You told me not to take him, too, so I should have listened to you. I should have listened. So, yeah, Dart definitely makes you think. And then, Brian Burns in the matchup against Theo Benedette's going to be a big one. Kayvon Thibodeau on the outside for you guys, obviously, is a big name. And then how do you counteract our run game? Or do you guys stack in the box, or how do you guys play against that? Will be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think it's all right in front of us for the Bears. Just go take it. You got to defend your home turf and get a win.
Definitely. Got to go get it because I feel like if any team loses the game in the NFC North, they take two steps back. I mean, the worst team right now is the Vikings, who, by the way, just got their quarterback back, and they just upset the Lions in Detroit. Were they in Detroit? In Detroit.
It was in Detroit, yeah. That was a big win for Minnesota, and it really evened out the standings in the North. So I think the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers are all technically tied for first. The Packers might have let me look it up. Let's look it up real quick.
It's crazy.
Standings.
Packers are kind of fraudulent, though.
So the Packers are 5-2-1, so they're in first. The Lions and the Bears are now 5-3, and the Vikings are 4-4. So everybody is right there. This division is wide open. The Packers have a tough game this week against the Eagles, and the Lions. I forget. I just did our pick and pool before this because I totally forgot until I saw Thomas's email, and I forget who the Lions are playing this week. But you will take those. You will take any of those losses if you're the Bears for your divisional opponents anytime you can get them, because really the expectations for us going into the year was like, man, I'd love to get to 9-8. I'd love to get to 10-7 and sneak into the playoffs. And then really feel like next year's the year where you really start to compete for a Super Bowl. But keep winning games this year. I feel like the NFL is very wide open, especially the NFC. So, I mean, anything can happen. So who knows?
One more player I want to mention before we pick this game and get out of here is Abdul Carter. I'm waiting for this guy to get going. The Giants drafted him number 3 overall for a reason. The pressures are there. The sacks are not. Abdul Carter is top 15 in NFL pressures through 9 weeks, but he's only got half a sack to show for it. We saw a similar trend with Micah Parsons in his rookie year, Will Anderson Jr. in his rookie year. The only top rookie edge rusher that really didn't have that curse on him was Aiden Hutchinson. He was elite right away. These other guys, it's taken some time for them to really get developed. And I think part of the reason too, folks, I've had people ask me this over the last couple of weeks, with Micah McFadden out and Abdul Carter's versatility, he's having to drop back into coverage a lot and at inside linebacker next to Bobby Okereke. That in turn limits his chances to rush the passer. So I wouldn't look at these numbers and get concerned about Abdul Carter. No, he's an awesome player, and you have to think about him on the field, certainly. And Giants got a lot of injuries this week, too, so it's going to be very interesting. Likely without our kicker, Graham Gano. So, Andy, it's likely going to be Younghoe Koo for the Giants because we saw what Jude Mikatomne did that 1 week against Denver. You can't trust the ginger, huh? You can't do it. Couple missed extra points, too. That was brutal. I'm not saying – ultimately, it was the reason why we lost that game, because the Giants, you look at them, they're a team that could easily be, 4-4, maybe even 5-3 as well. But instead, we're 2-7.
Unfortunately, I've dude, as Bears and Giants fans, we're very similar. I feel like as far as our teams and the trajectory, right, where we've had some just really, really disappointing years, and then some years we're like, hold on, we might be okay.
Yeah.
And then we get right there and then just get our hearts absolutely crushed weekly. So I feel for you, but I feel for you, Tom, for sure.
Appreciate that. One quick question I forgot. Steal a player from the Giants. Who are you stealing? Massive need that Chicago has. Fill that void.
Brian Burns. Give me another pass rusher on this defense. I feel like he is a huge difference maker, and a need that Chicago could use very much so.
Yeah, love that. Also, TJ Edwards, hand and hamstring injury. Is he available this week, or he did not practice today? I don't know what's going to happen there.
Still unspecified, as far as I know. So yeah, has not played, did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. I'm assuming they will wait it out for Friday. But if he's not practicing Friday, I'm going to assume that he will not play. Last week against the Bengals, he had 1 tackle, 1 solo tackle, and four assists. So he has missed a couple games. He missed the Raiders game. He missed the Cowboys game. He also missed week 1 against the Vikings. So he's been battling through some injuries this week, but he's another big piece of this defense. So he was on the injury report. Well, you have to monitor that, but that'll be a big loss. You'll still have Tremaine Edmonds, it looks like. So that's always a big piece in that linebacking core. But yeah, TJ Edwards really the quarterback of our defense. So anytime he's not out there, you're missing a big piece.
I mentioned our kicking problems. What is the deal with Cairo Santos? Quick here,
He sucks. I mean, you have a fucking kicker. You have an NFL kicker that can't kick a 50-yard field goal. He was dealing with a thigh injury or whatever it was, so he's already kind of banged up. You have Jake Moody on the practice squad. Jake Moody plays 2 games, hits a game-winning field goal, and looked really good. And then you bring Cairo Santos back, and underwhelming. He's missed a couple kicks. He left a 54-yarder, a yard short or something like that. So it's just like, I know how good he is from 40 and in, or 45 and in, 50 and in, but in this league now, like, what was it? We saw a 68-yard field goal.
Cam Little,
yeah. Cam Little kicked a 68-yard field goal. You have Brandon Aubrey in Dallas that's doing his thing. These 50-yard field goals are layups for these guys now, and our guy can barely hit it. So it's just like, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense to me. And you want to be confident in your offense that you're not going to have to settle for 50+ yard field goals all the time, right? But if it comes down to a late game situation where we absolutely have to have it, you don't feel confident that this guy has the leg to go do it. And I mean, this is the NFL. We're not talking about a college team. We're not talking about a high school kid. Like, fuck, man, there are high school kids kicking 56-yarders now. Like, it's frustrating. I mean, if it was me personally, I would have Jake Moody back on the on the roster. And he's had his struggles, but in his small sample size in Chicago, he's been pretty good. So very frustrating and it doesn't make sense why you continue to have a kicker on your roster that can't consistently hit from 50+ yards. It just doesn't make sense.
Extremely frustrating. All right, let's get into our game predictions. This is going to be tough. We'll start with you here, Andy. Who are you taking in this game? The spread, I believe, is now up to 4.5 for Chicago.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really close game. It always seems to be close when these guys play. I like the Bears to pull it out, but I think it's going to be like a very much a fourth quarter type of game. Give me the Bears 24-20.
Sounds about right. So the Giants cover that spread by 0.5 point, according to Andy Hopper. For me, guys, I mean, there's way too much going against this Giants team right now. Graham Gano didn't practice with neck injury. John Michael Schmitz did not practice with the shin. Paulson Adebo didn't practice with the knee, and that's the most important one because he's supposed to be guarding Roma Dunze. He's not there. I don't trust this pass defense. The Giants should get Jermaine Illuminor back this week. But for me, if you can't stop the run, they've had 2 backup running backs go off on them the last 2 weeks. And the Bears have some, quality guys in DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. Again, number 2 rush offense in the NFL through 9 weeks as a whole. And Ben Johnson is an awesome coach. I think he has a better grasp of his locker room than Brian Daboll currently does. I think him and Dart have a good connection, but the rest of the locker room, that could certainly be in question. So I am also going to go with Chicago here, unfortunately. I know I may get some shit from that in the comment section on YouTube like I did last week. I'm going to go with Chicago here. I'm going to go a little bit higher scoring than Andy, actually. I think Chicago wins 27-23. So I have the Giants scoring 23 this week. Giants fall to 2-8.
Great teams cover. That's what you could tell yourself, Tom. Great teams cover.
that they do. My buddy Kevin, though, folks, in the comment section, has the Giants winning 24-17.
This wouldn't surprise me at all, by the way, Kevin. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants walk out of Soldier Field with a win.
Yeah. Bears are the better football team right now. But the Giants are young. And if Dart is near perfect, look out. Because Dart could win this team a game. I think if Scadaboo and Neighbors were both healthy, this would be a 50-50 coin flip type of game, in my opinion. I think these guys are that good that in future years, the Giants are going to be a hard team to stop, especially their offense. But, Andy, let's get out of here. Thursday Night Football is minutes away. Where can people find our podcast, The Tailgate Committee, and your picks for the brew party?
Yeah, go ahead and find us on YouTube. We're at the Tailgate Committee on YouTube. We're also at the Tailgate Committee on our Facebook and Instagram page. Give us a follow there. We're at the Tailgate.com on Twitter if you are a tweeter. But yeah, we have a lot of fun doing the show. Weekly college football show. We release Thursdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Recap of what happened last week. We usually have at least one or two fun segments, and then games you should be watching for the weekend. And then for the brew party, we're just at the brew party pretty much everywhere. Check us out. I have not done any new episodes of that recently. It's more so for just brew doing his picks. But all good things have to come to an end. And we're excited about the Tailgate Committee and all that stuff. So good luck to you, my friend, on Sunday.
You as well.
Thanks for having me. It's always a blast to be back on the review and preview airwaves.
Yeah, no, it's always awesome to have you on, Andy. Getting to deal with you twice a week is something, especially after last night.
Much. I'm sorry.
2 hours last night, hour 45, talking about basically our favorite sport in college football. It is awesome stuff every week. Please make sure to go check that out. Might be putting out a couple shorts this week, Andy.
We've got some coming. Look out for those coming tomorrow morning. We've got a few in the works. The StreamYard gave us a couple decent ones. Some other ones that I don't want to give anybody a seizure because it's just cutting back from me and you like a million times. That's already scary enough. So we'll see.
That's funny.
We'll see. But we've got some good ones. Then I've got some other ones some ones that gave me ideas for other clips. So yeah, check us out. Give us a subscription on YouTube. Help us build that channel up for some awesome college football content. We'll try to talk ball and also have a good time. Try to make it through Noah Dibler's trolls, but one can only do so much.
Absolutely, folks. If you're watching now, make sure to hit that subscribe button at the Tailgate Committee. Links will be in the description below once this is published on YouTube, and of course, check out Big Blue Avenue and all of our social media handles below. All right, let's get out of here, folks. On behalf of Andy Hopper, I am Tom Scavetta saying so long, love one another, and without further ado, let's go Big Blue.